Okay, so far we have covered our objective number 1 in session 1, which is analyzing and understanding the funding environment. But I accidentally skipped one point, which was the type of foundations. So before starting the objective number 2, I would like to discuss this point first, and then I'll be starting the getting yourself, your organization ready, which is basically objective number 2. Now, the type of foundations are basically different. There are two types of foundations. Number 1, who funds different projects, which are called the funders. And number 2, who actually seeks the funding. Right? So, if you are an organization who seeks the funding, so different funders are there in different countries. But some of the examples that you can find out in most of the developing countries, for example, are here. Number 1 is the USAID, Australian Aid, the UK Aid, the United Nations, and obviously its relevant other departments. The CEDA is a Canadian International Development Agency. DFID is a German-based organization, but they fund different community development projects in different developing countries. And if your country is located in the Asia subcontinent, for example, India, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, so there is this foundation called the Asia Foundation. So these are some of the examples, but I would recommend that you need to look at your own country, that what type of other developing foundation are available, or the funders, which you may call it, are available where you can apply for different fundings. Now, so I'm going to start the objective number 2, which is doing your homework. Now, before actually writing down your proposal, you need to have a clear understanding of what is the focus of your organization. What are the goals and objectives that you want to achieve? So for this purpose, the most effective tool that can be used is, and which is very common, is the SWOT analysis. Now we can talk about this tool for quite a long time, and it's a very broader area, but I'll just specifically give you some tips because the focus of this training is basically the proposal writing and not the SWOT analysis. So I'll just give you some of the details throughout this session, this video. So in SWOT, the S stands for the strength, W weaknesses, O opportunities, and T threats. You need to remember that SWOT is very important to conduct, and this is very central to organizational success. So through this process, you can identify what are the strengths of your organization that you can actually build on. What are the weaknesses that you need to focus and minimize those weaknesses? And how can you overcome those weaknesses? Opportunities, what are the opportunities available in the market, and the threats that you need to take care of. Now remember that S and W, the strengths and the weaknesses, these are the internal information that are available in your organization, whereas the O and T, the opportunities and threats, are external. So when you talk about the S and W, you'll have to look within the organization. What sort of competencies, for example, if we talk about strengths, so what sort of competencies are available within your organization? What key skills do you have? What type of machinery can you use? Which areas are accessible, easily accessible for you? And those kind of things. And similarly, the weaknesses. So you will have to look within the organization. But for the opportunities and threats, this is external information. You will have to do some market analysis. By doing this, you'll be able to identify what are the key selling points of your organization that you can build on and present it to the funders, which will convince them to fund your project. Now, keeping in view your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, you also need to identify funders who are best positioned to help your organization, who you think has the top prospects that they will fund your organization. And you need to know what are their areas of interest, what are their geographical locations, what are the target populations. Usually different organizations target different population. For example, some funders focus their funding on women's rights particularly, on children's rights particularly, or on minorities, for example. So, what is that target population? The type and size of grants available with them, the type of funding that they can do, and what are the eligibility criteria. So this kind of information that you need to keep with you before actually starting writing down your proposal. So you will research your top prospects and you need to learn more about them. Now, similar kind of information is here as well. For example, what are their funding objectives? What sort of projects that they have funded in the past? What are the funding guidelines? What are the time frames? What are their background and their interests? And what is the contact person to whom you will talk to about different projects? So it is very important that you need to keep a track of all this information throughout the year. Right? So I'm going to show you a template that you can adopt for this purpose and make a kind of directory which will help you achieving this objective. If you can see on this slide, the funders that I've mentioned here, the name of the organization, for example, the funder, so who is the contact person, which organization it is, how to reach them, telephone, email, fax, so how can you reach them, and the comments are there any particular dates that they want you to contact. Also, for the community partners, if you are collaborating on certain projects, so you can adopt this kind of format, which I have shared it with you. Okay. Now, when you shortlist your top prospects, you need to make a connection with them. And for this purpose, you can adopt several strategies. For example, you can always email them. You can introduce your organization in a letter, an introduction kind of letter, accompanied by different information about your organization, what you have done in the past, what are your objectives for this year, and what sort of projects that you are interested in. You can always make them some phone calls. And also, the contact persons that they can also be invited for different events that your organization are conducting over the period. So that's how you can develop your PR with these funders. They will be able to remember your organization, your name, and they will also know that you are very active, passionate, and you want to actually do something better for the community. Now, when you do that, the next question that you need to ask yourself, are you ready? Now, the readiness is a very important element for the successful proposal. Now I'm going to show you a chart later on which will help you identify what are the strengths and weaknesses, the SWOT analysis that I discussed with you, that you can use and you can implement. So such kind of information will be there, that why does your organization exist? Okay? Who implements your goals and objectives? How do you do it? Are you a formal organization? Are you an informal organization? Are you a small organization? Are you a large organization? Do you have a formal hierarchy? Or does it not exist at the moment? Do you work well with others? Are you a good collaborator? Right? So such kind of information that should be there on your template. Then you need to see how's the fit. So sometimes, as you can see, if you are a new organization in particular, and this is a very important point to be noted. If you are a new organization, I have noticed different small NGOs that they apply for each and every type of projects, no matter they do have the capacity available or not. They do have the expertise available in that area or not. So different times and different kind of projects can actually distract you from your actual purpose. So you need to keep a close eye on this. You need to ask yourself if the proposed project program is a good fit with your organization or not, and does it contribute to the realization of the goals and objectives. Now, this is the chart that I wanted to show you. So you can actually rate your organization, and this is a kind of SWOT analysis that you can do, like what kind of service or program that your organization can give. So you start rating those services, and you rate it from a scale from 1 to 5. Now, this is a whole list of options that you can apply. Okay, I'll come back in the next video and discuss some more important information in this